women's head basketball coach. Dawn Brown to her right is Shemaya Brooks. And on the left is Jeanette Jackson, who's also tournament MVP. Shemaya Brooks, a part of the all-tournament team. Coach, you can start off with a statement, then we'll take questions.
I'm sorry, Jeanette, I don't think. Well, tonight it was definitely a great win for us. When I took the position as head coach with this women's basketball program, I understood the legacy, the responsibility, and everything that this position entails. But it makes your job a lot easier when you have a group of young ladies that support you. When you have a team captain like Jeanette Jackson. Sorry about that. Jeanette Jackson, as well as Lorraine Washington, as far as just backing up your system. And I have to get on JJ sometimes from time to time. She's a silent leader on the court, but she's been the reason what has sparked Shemaya for us, and that's why we've been successful. Early on we struggled a lot in preseason this year, but once we got our post players going inside, we were able to be more successful in the conference. But overall, it's a great win. It's a great feeling. I actually wrote on my hand before the game on the bus ride here, dominate and destroy. Dominate and destroy. And because you guys have to understand that it's hard to win 4 in a row. That's not something that you can do. The X is on your back. Everybody understands what your weaknesses are. They know what your strengths are, and they try to force you to score the ball on your weaknesses. Face guarding Jeanette Jackson, some double teaming Shemaya Brooks. But you have to be relentless. You have to dominate the court on both the defensive end as well as the offensive end.
Questions?
Coach, you got tight in the end, tied it up at 50. What did you tell your team going into that last few timeouts?
I just let them know that you can't allow Texas Southern to take this moment from you. This is your moment. This is what we do. In March, you guys, we were 12-0 before we entered into this conference, for tonight. So I told them, I said, you guys, since 2011, this is what Prairie View A&M University does. This is what we've done in the past. You see our best basketball in March. And you cannot allow anything that Texas Southern do tonight to take that moment from you. You have to continue to dominate the court.
Jeanette, what changed? You guys started off very, very slow on the offensive end especially. What changed there towards the middle of the first half and carried over in the second half?
Coach, just getting on us. Once she yelled at us, we don't really like getting yelled at. So once she got on us, we knew we had to pick it up if we wanted to win.
Coach, you had a big, solid performance by Larissa Scott, who's played through tough injuries. A lot of people might not know it, but she's going to have surgery. Explain the significance of her role that she played today.
Larissa is the most consistent player that we have as far as, she can give you 10 and 10 every night she steps on the court. But another thing she does, she can block shots. She alters shots well. She plays defense extremely well. So it's really not necessarily her offensive presence. Sometimes she gets a lot of tips, steals, and deflections from time to time. But rebounding is key, and her defense is key. And it's hard to score over a player as long as Larissa. She has great timing. But she's been in pain. She's been in pain even from the first night when we played Alabama State. But one thing about this team, and I tell them all the time, you have to be relentless. You can't allow a bump, a bruise, your head hurt, your foot hurt, a burn on your hand, a busted lip from Jeanette Jackson all year. You can't allow any of that affect you for the night, because this is the only moment you'll have to win your 4th consecutive championship.
Did something happen schematically for you guys? Because you guys obviously did very well on the offensive boards. There was something you saw that changed maybe towards the middle of the game that kind of opened up the lane for you guys where it wasn't there before?
Well, what we did was we started going inside. They were face guarding Jeanette Jackson and playing up on Lorraine, forcing her only to drive to her left side, which is one of her weaker sides. So at that moment, anytime that a team is going to face guard us, one thing that we're going to do is we're going to allow Jeanette Jackson to run the point. That's the privilege of having 2 point guards on the floor, because her original position is the one. So we had her to run the point, and then we were going to just go inside to Shemaya Brooks as well as Asha Hampton-Finch and Larissa Scott. So now they're going to have to play defense from the inside out, and that's what the adjustment that we made.
Struggling early in the season is never good, but going through what you went through early in the season, for either players or you coaches, does it make this finish a little sweeter, a little better, considering where you started?
I'll go first, and then I'll let Jeanette speak up on that. One thing that a lot of you guys may not understand or may not know, that this team that I inherited this year, this team where the returners were role players. You know, we were led by Latia Williams for the last 2 or 3 years, Kiera Etienne for the last 2 years, getting newcomer of the year her first year, getting tournament MVP this time last year. So all of the returning players that we had were role players to those championship teams. So when we went on our 11-game losing streak, it is what it is. We were still trying to find our identity. Who are we? You know, who's going to be the leading scorer? You know, Shemaya facing up against bigger post players, quicker post players, but that prepares you for moments like this. That's why Prairie View plays such a tough preseason schedule. We don't go out and just play games for wins. We go out and play games that's going to prepare us for championships. JJ, you can speak up on that too, so.
Okay, just to piggyback off of what Coach said, we just needed to gain chemistry with each other. We had a lot of new people, but at the same time, we had returners who didn't get that much playing time. So we had to learn each other's game, and once we did that, it happened. We just won.
What about you, Shemaya?
To agree with what they said, yeah, we just had to, come together, find ourselves, find our identity, and put our pieces together and win.
And stay on you.
And stay on me.
Coach, talk about
that piece of hardware you have in front of you. It's got to speak volumes, being that you wasn't selected on any team or conference, and I know, Coach, you looking at me, I'm going to keep saying it. But you use that as a motivator. What does it feel like to be finally recognized and accepted in this conference?
It feels good. I mean, I didn't expect it. Not to take anything from me. I never expected, but it showed me that the hard work we put in practice, the way Coach Brown would stay on me, the way Jeanette them always in my ears, it showed me that it pays off.
Coach, talk about the journey that you had personally taking over this program when Coach Wilson left last year and the start of the season. Did you have any pressure? Were there any doubts about whether or not you could pick up where she left off?
Well, one thing about it is that, with all respect to my former head coach, she was so tough on us as assistants. I mean, and the girls don't know. I mean, she was tough on us, and that prepared me to make this a smooth transition and get in this position. I never felt pressure. It's not like you have to feel pressured in taking a position. You have to be focused. You have to understand what's at stake, and then you have to take the proper procedures and precautions in order to execute that. I couldn't come in and completely change a system where, kids were used to one head coach for 3 years. But one of the biggest things that I think that I had to implement was discipline this year with our young ladies. And I think that's the reason why the less talented team, being that we're the number 4 seed, were able to come up and get some upsets in this tournament because we're so disciplined. That's what I said. I'm going to get on them when they're not doing what they're supposed to do because I know what they're capable of doing. But it's not like there's any pressure when you're working with such a great staff, the university, my athletic director, my senior women administrator. They're always in your ear, Coach, whatever you need, how are you doing? Come in and talk to me. And that makes you feel welcome. It makes you feel wanted. It's been nothing but love since I've accepted the position at Prairie View. I'm excited about it, and I look forward to the journey.
Coach, I know you said y'all started off rough. What would you say the turning point of the season would be?
The turning point of the season was when we got our first win. We had to find a way to win. And that was hard. But not only that, having to make the adjustment as coaches, from the way we normally have scouted in the past 3 years to the way that we wanted to do things this year. I had to step out on faith and say, okay, we're going to do it this way. So when we were able to make runs and to make the adjustments defensively, and we just start mixing things up, and we found out what worked for us. It wasn't something where it was detrimental or drastic in our season, but we have a bunch of tough young ladies. I don't know if you guys understand. Even our freshman Alexis Parker suffered from cardio. She had cardio issues. She's been hospitalized this year. And couldn't breathe yesterday, having to step up off of the court yesterday. So we've had injuries from here and there. Larissa dislocating her shoulder, second game of the season. So, the run was we were hungry and we wanted it and we knew what it was going to take and nothing was going to stop them from getting it.
Jeanette, stepping up to make those free throws at the end there, is that where the experience comes in? Having been here before?
I don't think it's experience. I think it's confidence.
But do you gain any of that confidence from the experiences you've had, though?
Yes, I do. I am very confident. I think it's because I've been here multiple times.
Hey, Coach, you talked again today about domination. Last night you had 25 and 20, I think. Your big three today was 21 and 13. Can you just talk about how important the importance of that was to the offense that you were running today?
Well, I think overall it's very important because what happens is that when you get players involved on the inside, like Larissa Scott, like Shemaya, you have to force teams to play you on the inside a lot tougher. It takes the pressure off of our shooters when we have dominant presence from the post on the inside. And that's why I was getting on Shemaya for missing some of those layups, just going up real light, because that takes the pressure off of our guards. So that's very, very important. But not only that, getting on the boards. Down there in the stretch, we couldn't let a ball come off the rim that we didn't get our hands on. And if we couldn't get it, we were going to have to tip it out of bounds. Even on the offensive boards, because we wanted to make sure that they couldn't run the ball in transition, and we had to get stops late in the game.
Got time for one more question. All right, that's it.